First of all, greetings from Metal Wani. For the readers and listeners who might be, charting new territory with your band, could you explain the origin of the band's name?
Yeah, sure. Evile started really between myself and Matt Drake. We were at school together. We spent a lot of time playing and rehearsing and just jamming songs that we had a popular interest between the two of us, like heavy metal songs, thrash songs, that kind of thing.
Right.
And then that kind of progressed to finding more musicians with like-minded interests, taking things forward and actually set a proper band and writing our own material. At the time, we were a Metallica covers band, so we spent a lot of time going out on with Metal Militia, touring and doing pubs and clubs across the country and just touring as much as we possibly could under that name.
True.
But then getting bored to do our own material, so we started writing stuff. But we needed a separate identity from the Metallica.
Right.
That's when we started Evile. The name itself, that's Matt's idea. Really, he kind of came up with the name Exiled, and then we kind of Googled it and realised that there was like maybe 200 bands in the world that were called Exiles. So he was sketching a logo about, and he just changed the X into a V, and then that's how Evile was born.
That's awesome.
So,
Since you mentioned more like the comparison, so you guys are definitely unique in a sense that you guys avoid the generic crossover thrash route. But does your past as comparisons to Metallica, even in your original material, put pressure on the band to further hone a unique sound to your name?
Yeah, I mean we're fully in the mindset that everything has been done before, and in a genre like thrash,
right,
there is an element of you have to kind of redesign the wheel a little bit. You stick to the same elements that all the other thrash bands have, but you have to find a way of making yourselves unique and stamping your mark. And I'd like to think that in some respects we are very like other play fast. The song material is in the early days it was pretty generic. It was about zombies and war and sharks and all that kind of thing. But as you get older with the band, you get more mature and being adolescent, you're thinking. You do tend to try new things, and stands Evile apart from other thrash bands of our era. We're not afraid to try something different. We're not afraid to put a prog section in a song, do little acoustic bits. Matt's vocal technique's very clean to some parts, in direct contrast to some other bands. For example, Gambom, they're still very, very 1986 minded, so to speak.
You guys have that pure 80s thrash metal in your mind.
We do, yeah, but we also have that unique ability to try and further things musically. We will try and change time signatures and sometimes come off the pace to make things heavier, rather than going at like 200 miles an hour for each song.
Right.
We're not afraid to change down gears to be able to then change back up gears, if you know what I mean by.
Yeah, I think these days that bands seem to rehash what has already been done in the past.
Yeah, I think so. I think people hold dear to them what they've into, and it's always going to be emulated in whatever a band does going forward. I think the uniqueness and a band's ability to progress and keep the head above water comes from the fact that they aren't scared to try something completely different.
Right.
And I think that's what a band needs to mature and to keep their own identity. If you're just going to keep doing the same song after album, then you're never going to see any progression, I don't think.
That's absolutely true. I was actually about to ask you that how important do you think musical progression is for a band, and do you think you have achieved this across Evile's career?
Our career, definitely. If you listen to our early material, certainly the demos leading forward to our debut full release, there was so much adolescence involved in the songwriting, and like I said, we were all a lot younger then, so we were, I don't know, still caught up in the let's sing about war and zombies and sharks.
That's how it has been. I was just having a chat with Rob Cavastani of Death Angel a few days back, and he was like, you know what, in our early days of those early 80s thrash metal, we just we just were kids gone mad, and we just trying to play faster than others.
I think that's it. I think that element, when you're first starting out as a thrash band, is what you're primarily trying to do, because that's how you get noticed. Look how fast we can play. Look how technical we can be.
Right.
But then at some point you have to kind of put your mature head on and think, right, we've actually got to write and create our own identity to set ourselves apart from what's gone before. And I think it's fine to look back at that in the 80s and go, that was cool, let's have an influence. Mm-hmm. But don't do it again it's been done, so why try and rehash it? Why redo it? Because you're not going to be able to do it as good as Exodus or Creator or Metallica or Slayer in their early days. That argument's already been and gone, so do something a little bit different and get your own uniqueness and your own viability, and that's how I think you go forward. It's safe to do the whole 180 miles an hour thrash thing until you can't play another note as long as you live, but I'd like to think that we've got a little bit more longevity, and we creatively think to keep our heads above water, if that makes any sense.
That's amazing. So it's extra challenging for a thrash metal band to achieve the same.
Yeah, I think so. I think for the bands that are consistent, I mean, if you take a band like Overkill, they haven't really changed what they do. That's right, yeah, and I think Megadeth to an extent are very similar to that as well. I think other bands, maybe Exodus, have always tried to do something a little bit different, and it's only their latter material and the lineup they've got right now, that's made them stronger, I think. But you only know, and if you try new things and it's better, then the argument is to keep trying to change, because you never know what's around the corner.
Right, that's true.
If you keep doing the same thing over and over again, then it's going to stagnate, get old, and the last thing you want on stage is a band that's absolutely sick to death of doing the same thing over and over again.
Oh, that's great. Now, nice to see you wearing a Gamma Bomb t-shirt.
That's right.
Amazing. Now, your new album Skull is the most cohesive the band has ever sounded. So, while a lot of the band's other materials were more straightforward to the likes of Metallica, Exodus, and Slayer, we see incredibly adrenaline-driven and thrashtastic songs like Outsider that actually reminds of one of the classic Dark Angel material. So, what was the mindset of the band like when approaching the songwriting this album?
It was quite straightforward, really. We wanted to do something that encapsulated everything that we'd done before up to this point. With the previous album, Five Serpents' Teeth, it was a little bit easier in the fact that we wanted to just make a combination of the first two albums. We wanted the pace and the aggression of Enter the Grave, but we wanted the songwriting and the structures of Infected Nation.
Right.
So, yeah, Five Serpents' Teeth was quite an easy album to make, really. We knew we had to do something a little bit different and keep the fans that we'd gained without losing too many by changing in the process. With Skull, we completely wanted to do something different. We wanted to get the aggression back. We wanted to get the tempos back up. We wanted to just make something that hits hard and fast, and showcase that we've developed as musicians as well as songwriters. I mean, myself, I don't think I've ever played better on an album, and that's just purely from... Yeah, I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the songs. I enjoyed playing in the studio this time around. I was actually going through some really bad health problems in the months leading up to the recording, so I couldn't commit as much time to rehearsing and going through the song structures as much as I wanted to. But when I got to the studio, I got the songs down in 4 days without even having sat and rehearsed behind a drum kit on those songs.
Wow!
So for me, I'm really proud of what we achieved on this album. The songs are fantastic. The meanings behind the songs, they're a little bit more in depth, and Matt's done his whole. He's got this thing where he uses a lot of books and sci-fi literature and things like that to get lyrics and his song content down. So Matt's got a lot more hidden meanings for things in this last album. But overall, we're really proud of it. It's the pinnacle of where we are in 2013.
Wonderful. Now you guys are proud of it, but are you guys happy with the commercial performance of the latest album?
I think it hasn't been pushed as hard as it could have been by record label and We haven't toured extensively for it. Obviously, you've heard the news that Oliver Drake's just quit the band.
Right.
So at the minute, we're undergoing a little hiatus period whereby we're looking for a new guitarist to replace Oliver. We're gearing up for maybe touring next year and getting further afield, like back to America, maybe coming to Asia. Australia would be fantastic.
Wow.
But all that depends on whether we can find the right guy for the job, because they're quite big shoes to fill.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah, but the touring cycle for Skull, in a way, kind of ended before it started. So, we never toured America with Five Serpents' Teeth. We never toured a lot of places with Five Serpents' Teeth. So we've got a lot of material that people have still yet to hear live, I think.
That's true. Now, how do you think Matt is going to handle the leads and solos live in the wakes of Old Drake's departure?
I think it's going to throw it's going to be a weird one, because Oliver Drake's...
And Matt has been, mostly stuck to the rhythm side of things all these years.
That's right, yeah. But Matt can play lead, no shadow of a doubt. Matt's a great guitarist in both lead and rhythm. Mm-hmm. I think the contrast is going to be whether we can find someone who can be the opposite side of Matt's coin, if you know what I mean. It's
absolutely.
It's always been a balancing act in Evile between the two Drake brothers. They argue, and that gets the best out of a situation.
Absolutely.
Because there's always two answers for each question, and that's great to have. And the fact that they're brothers means that it's never derogatory to the songwriting process. It's always beneficial if you get that argument out of the way, because you only know what the best thing is going to be by exploring all possibilities. Getting someone new in is certainly going to not upset the balance of the band. Mm-hmm. It's just going to be another different viewpoint to have included in the songwriting and all that kind of things going forward. It's definitely going to freshen things up within the band, definitely. But at the same time, it's going to be a little bit sad because I'm going to kind of miss that little...
right, that's...
Yeah, do you know that little creative spark that only brothers can have,
true,
I think.
True, absolutely. It's quite a big shoes to fill for Matt.
Definitely, yeah, it is. But we'll stay strong as we are. We'll go forward, and things will be a little bit different, as they were after Mike died. But we'll get through it. We always do.
That's wonderful. Now, this is something unique. I've heard Matt sounds a lot like a mix of Tom Araya and Cronus of Venom. And when he's doing shouted vocals, but sounds fairly James Hetfield inspired when singing. So, which I think is a lethal combination. What are his inspirations?
I think if you said to Matt that he sounds like James Hetfield, he'd take it as a huge compliment. I know his influence.
If I tell him he sounds like Araya and Cronus as well.
I think so. I think in the early days he sounded more like Tom Araya, if I'm completely honest. And he did draw a lot of comparisons for that. But I think over the years he's become more distinctively Matt Drake, if I'm honest. Uh-huh. Matt's got a very, very unique ability. He has got the same kind of skill set as James Hetfield. He's got a very, very solid right hand when he's down picking his rhythm parts. Mm-hmm. And some of the technique and complicated passages that he has to play while singing even more complicated passages.
Right.
There's not a lot of people that can do that, I don't think. And I think Matt, as a frontman, is very underrated. We're definitely blessed to have had Matt and All in the same band for so long. But yeah, vocally, I think Matt's making more of an impact for himself right now. In terms of using dual vocal harmonies and layering up different, complicated tones and things. I think Matt's pretty unique. But yeah, he has been likened to Hetfield and Araya and Kronos for a long time.
That's amazing.
It's funny to hear how so many people say that.
That I can understand that. Now, the band sound is highly evocative of the classic Bay Area sound, like we discussed earlier. However, does the band have any other influence apart from Bay Area thrash metal? Perhaps the German or Brazilian thrash metal scene, or even some extreme
definitely metal? Yeah, definitely. We're all big fans of Death. We're all big fans of Carcass. Matt's a big Obituary fan, so is Oliver. Joel comes from a completely classic rock background. Well, we all do in a way. Queen is a big influence on Evile, definitely vocally and harmony structures and things like that. One of my favourite bands is a band from America called Heart, with the Wilson sisters. I think you can draw influence from so many styles of music without being blinkered into just listening to thrash.
Right.
I mean, like classical music, you can draw so many influences from classical music. Stravinsky, Brahms, Bach. It's the list's endless, really. I think the skill lies in where you position it in your own material.
Right.
But yeah, we're all from like varying backgrounds of music that we listened to when we were kids, and I think we try and put as much of that into our music as we possibly can.
Oh, that's really amazing. Now, this is something which you guys have been facing from last few years. How has the band handled the lineup change now since Ulrich is out, and you also lost Mike Alexander in 2009? But I must say that the band has shown a lot of perseverance and strength during these changing tides.
Yeah, thanks, dude.
What drove the band to pursue this dream of music further?
I think it's all we know how to do collectively. I mean, I don't ever want to sit in an office and do a standard 9-to-5 job. I'd end up just going crazy. I need to have that outlet to be able to sleep at night. And if I didn't have it, I don't know what I'd do. I mean, like growing up and being from a musical family, both the Drakes and myself, and
right.
Joel's dad, I believe, worked for a magazine in the UK called NME as a researcher or a reviewer or something. We're all from very musical families, and I think it's just an extension. When we lost Mike, it was weird because we were so far away from home. We were like in like the north of Sweden or something, and it took us like 5-6 days to drive home. And among that time, the question was raised whether we want to do this anymore, because are we getting enough back in return for what we've put in, and is it worth losing people? And
right.
But that was only in our heads for a millisecond. If we didn't carry on, it'd be a massive disrespect to Mike's memory for a start.
Absolutely.
That was one of the defining factors. But yeah, we don't know how to do anything else, and I don't think we ever will. We all do the little part-time jobs on the side that enable us to do this. Matt works for the local council. Joel works in a bar and does some other bits on the side. I do whatever I can just to earn some quick money and keep my head above water, so to speak. But
right.
This is primarily what we want to do, and it's all I ever want to do.
That's really amazing. Now, another unique thing I've noticed about the last 2 albums you guys have worked is basically on Russ Russell. Now, that dude...
That's right.
Has done a backing vocals and is also part of the producing and mixing the album. Now, that's really amazing to find Russ coming and doing so many things at once. So what does he bring to the table that has compelled the band to approach him to produce all your latest albums? Russ
makes us feel so at ease when we're in the studio. There's no pressure, there's no rush, there's no aggression. He just makes you feel so at ease, and he's got this knack of getting the best performance out of all the musicians he works with. He's a great guy to have around. He brings you up when you're not feeling too good about things, and he really makes you work. And just, I don't know, it's that X factor that no one else can bring to the table, I don't think, which is why we keep going back to work with him. He's a great producer as well, obviously that helps.
That's wonderful.
But I don't know, he's just a fantastic guy to have around. He's a genius, and if we treat him as the 5th member of the band, I don't have a problem with that. He's got such creative input into our songs. He's got as much creative input into the songs that we have. And I think you've got to have that trust with a producer. If you don't, it's never going to work.
Absolutely. That's really true. Now, we were talking about the tour earlier, so do you guys have any plan of heading to this part of the world in India?
Oh, absolutely love to, yeah. I mean, there's so many places Evile hasn't been yet. South America, Brazil, places like that, obviously India. We'd love to get to Indonesia, go a bit further south, down into Australia and Australasia. We'd love to get to Japan. There's so many places that we haven't even tried to get to, purely down to financial reasons, really.
Right.
So hopefully when we get a new guitarist, we'll set some more tours up and go a bit further afield, and people in India will see us pretty soon, I hope.
That's amazing. Now, when you guys generally, release an album, now, as a band, or let's say your record label will basically have certain countries in their radar where you guys want to tour. So, like, do you guys have a radar to tour all of those countries, or just the selected part of the world you guys are looking for?
No, we will go anywhere that wants to hear our music, and that can go on record. I don't think in the era that we live in, you can confine to do the same places on the tour, because you end up saturating the market. And when you saturate a market, you leave a market somewhere else big to go. And, you know, why not? Why not? I mean, we're the sort of band that if we're appreciated, we'll play in a pub to 10 people, or we'll play a festival to 1 million people. It doesn't matter to us. If people genuinely want to listen to our music and see us play live, then it's our pleasure to go and play for people. It really is.
Absolutely, man. That's really amazing. Now, you guys, you're aware, probably I would say, you guys are somewhat unexplored when it comes to the part of India.
Yeah, that's right. We've never been. We flew into Delhi very, very briefly on the way to Taiwan.
Oh,
but
so
we were
you
only
guys
there for
had
a couple of
landed in
hours.
India.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we landed in India, and then we had to get another flight straight out. So that was pretty rubbish. But
Okay.
yeah, we'd love to come to India to play. We've heard good things about gigs in India. You know, the people are passionate about the music.
Thanks a lot, Ben, for sparing some time and having a chat with me. It's been a great honor.
Hey, not a problem, dude. It's my pleasure. Seriously, thank you.